everybody's standing up and rallying the troops. It is time. It is time.
It is time. From the late, great Kevin Green, the NFC Championship in Lambeau Field for the first time since 2007 as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 13-5 roll into Green Bay to take on the 14-3 Green Bay Packers. The winner goes to Tampa. Super Bowl 55, a trip on the line. Winner takes all. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Alex Strofe. You can find me on Twitter at Alex_Strofe. Hanging with you for the next hour or so as we break down the NFC Championship game. I've never given myself goosebumps. That sounds like I'm rubbing myself on the back a little bit, but NFC Championship game in Lambeau Field's got me fired up. Dan Kotnick at DK all the way next to me. Dan, it's the NFC Championship game in Lambeau Field, my man.
I gotta tell you something. I want to be real. I want to be completely real with you, with all of our viewers here, with Lambeau, obviously. I have felt so nervous and anxious about today's game. I have PTSD from every NFC Championship game since 2010. But man, dude, I didn't see that. I didn't see that intro video before, and when I saw Kevin Green come on, late great Kevin Green, come on and tell me that it is time.
Yeah,
it is time. I seriously had this wave come over me where I'm like, fuck yes, it is. It is time. It is mother-loving time.
It is
let's go.
Time. Dan's fired up. I'm fired up. But to get you even more fired up, our boy Todd Varney, look at him. He's in Green Bay. He's going to the game today at the Todd V on all the socials. Todd, buddy, how are you?
I am good. My battery is dying faster than you would imagine on this thing. I'm watching it just tick down. So I'm probably going to get cut short here in a second. 30 degrees, light breeze coming through right now. It feels a hell of a lot colder than that. So we're going to bundle up and head in shortly. So I've got the Packers today. I'm going 34-24 is my prediction on that one. I think it's going to be a good one. I think we'll be able to see Tim Boyle late in this game. So,
now, Todd, I have one request before we let you go. At the game today, when there is an awkward silence, I need you to yell something that we will be able to hear. What can you yell that you think maybe we would recognize?
Jacob sucks.
Yeah, Jacob sucks would be good. Jacob sucks would be good.
Yeah, I'll find a spot for it. I'll find a spot.
All right, we'll be watching.
He'll be there too, so I'll make.
Wait, no. Dude, Lambeau's got it. You just got to yell 5 Bakhtiaris.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Shout out to the bar. Todd, well, we appreciate you stopping in. We don't want to kill your phone because you got to take some pictures and videos, of course, all that good stuff.
I got to let my mom know I'm here.
Yes. I love that.
I'm in my roommate.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you meant.
Right.
Appreciate you, Todd. You have a good time at the game. Go Pack, go. Thanks for checking in with us.
Yeah, go Pack. We'll catch you guys later.
There goes Todd Varney at Lambeau Field. That guy is a goof. But Dan, let's jump into this thing, shall we? It's the Packers, it's the Buccaneers, and it's been brought up all week. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. These two teams faced off in Week 6 in Tampa. It didn't go well. 2 interceptions for Aaron Rodgers, including a pick 6. No touchdown passes on the day for Aaron Rodgers. The only game all season he didn't throw a touchdown pass. And Tampa Bay did what the scoreboard says, 38-10, the final in Week 6. My first question, I guess, off that is how much stock do you put into this result way back in October in today's game?
I don't put much stock into that result in terms of what it like that it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like. Sure. A 38-10, I don't think a 38-10 blowout on either side is probable. I think both sides have the ability to do it if things go right, but I don't think it's probable. What I think what it speaks more to is how dangerous this Buccaneers team can be if you make mistakes. We saw last week against the Saints, Tampa Bay took advantage of turnovers, had a momentum-changing turnover on Jared Cook. That arguably changed the whole outcome of the game, because if he doesn't fumble, there's a good chance the Saints score. They keep it back and forth, but it felt like it turned it. The same thing with the Packers game in that Week 6 game. Those 2 turnovers, a pick 6, and then another one that puts them right on the 5-yard line, and they score again, and all of a sudden it's the middle of the second quarter and it's 14-10, and you're like, what the hell just happened? And I think that like it knocked the Packers completely off board. Yeah. They had no idea what was going on. They didn't know how to keep playing through that. So if you let Tampa Bay do that again, that's what can happen. So it's more just a warning. It's more just a reminder you need to play a perfect game against these guys, because that's what they do. They capitalize on opportunities, defense and offense. They capitalize big time. You can't give them those chances.
Yep, and Isaac chiming in on the Facebook chat. New Orleans whooped the Bucs. I think 38-3 was the final of that game. Mm-hmm. I could be off, but yeah, round 3, the Bucs come out on top in the playoffs in New Orleans. So anything can happen. We know the result of that game. I think the counter argument anybody would make is you look at the 49ers last year. They whooped them they beat the crap out of the Packers in the regular season. Similar result in the NFC Championship game. But no bad vibes today. No bad vibes. We're looking ahead. The Packers look seriously like the best team in football right now. I don't think we'll disagree there. Of course, you can always make an argument for the Chiefs, but it looks like the Packers are the best team in football right now. And you didn't feel that way last year when they were heading into the NFC Championship game. You felt good about them. They got a nice win over Seattle at Lambeau Field. But when they went to San Fran, or really Santa Clara, I guess, for that NFC Championship game, they didn't look like the better team going into it. This one, they definitely do. The way that offense has been rolling, the way the defense has been peaking at the right time. So I feel good. I feel good, but obviously there's some concerns. One of them, of course, being that Tampa Bay defense. We saw them kind of pick apart the Packers offense throughout their game in Week 6. But a big note heading into this one, Antoine Winfield Jr., who had an interception in that game against Green Bay, is out today for Tampa Bay. So that is notable, right?
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, I don't think he's the biggest defensive, I saw some people kind of like relating it to like if Jalen Ramsey was out last week kind of thing. He doesn't have a Jalen Ramsey style impact. But that's still big, that's still big. Like Devin White, I think is probably, you could argue, the biggest member of that defense. But like that Winfield kid, man, I loved him coming out of the draft. I was really hoping that the Packers could have been able to do something with him, because I absolutely love him and I love how he plays. And I was scared of him. I mean, I just mentioned he had the game changing turnover last week against the Saints. He goes out there and he just makes plays. That's all he freaking does is make plays.
100%.
So like that has to help.
100%. But we brought up Devin White. We just got to note what he did last week, because it was monstrous. I mean, it was a ridiculous week. It was his first playoff game, and he's the first player since 2000 to do this. 10-plus tackles, an interception, and a fumble recovery in the same game for Devin White. In his first ever playoff game, just goes bananas against Drew Brees. It's scary, but if you want anybody on your offense, it's the MVP. Aaron Rodgers hasn't slowed down, looked great against the Rams, and obviously going to win the MVP. I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point. So probably going to win the MVP next week or 2 weeks, whenever the presentation is officially for the AP award. If you want anybody on your offense to play a defense that has been rolling and obviously did pick the Packers apart earlier this year, you want Aaron Rodgers. He's been playing so great, Dan. I mean, this is an unbelievable territory we've seen Aaron Rodgers play at, looking at his third MVP award. You know the chip on his shoulder that's been built. I just want to talk Aaron Rodgers for a little bit. He's been so good.
Aaron Rodgers has been amazing. It all goes back, though, to the offense that Matt LaFleur has put around him.
Oh, yeah.
Think about in 2018, Aaron Rodgers was not playing at this level. And I think it goes to the way that the team was set up to run the Mike McCarthy offense. Nothing against Mike McCarthy and the offense, but Aaron Rodgers and the personnel that they had around him couldn't run that offense. What Matt LaFleur was able to do in the last 2 years was find the offense that exploits exploits the talent that you have and makes it work in the best possible way, and also is able to take your best defensive player and put them in bad situations.
Yeah.
Last week, Jalen Ramsey, that Devontae Adams in motion going back and forth to get him off of the line of scrimmage, that he's either going to be 5 yards off of Devontae or someone else is going to be covering him. That's exactly what this offense is meant to do. So Devin White is great. I think he's one of the best defensive players right now, just playing at the level that he is. This offense is going to work in a way to exploit what he does poorly, or, it put him in bad situations.
Yeah.
They weren't afraid of Aaron Donald last week. They ran right at him. I think they're going to do the same thing again this week. And it puts Aaron Rodgers in the situation that he doesn't need to be better than Devin White. Like, it's not those two against him. Aaron Rodgers is just going to get the offense, and he is going to just find the weakness with whatever the defense gives him and execute it that way. So kudos to Aaron Rodgers because he's playing at an amazing level right now. But this is all a culmination of what Matt LaFleur and this offense has been able to do. And I hate to keep rambling on like this.
Oh, you're fine.
But week 6, this is a completely different offense than now.
Yeah.
No Alan Lazard. Devontae Adams was just coming back from his injury, which I think that's the biggest thing for me. They always try to force stuff to Devontae when he was coming back. It's what happened in the Chargers game last year when they got blown out.
Yep.
You let the offense come to you. You let the defense dictate what offense you're going to run and exploit it that way. Don't try to make it work.
It's looked like on this 7-game win streak, Dan, they've done that. They've done just that. I think you're absolutely correct. But back on Matt LaFleur, just real quick before we can roll into over-under. I do have something to show you before we do that. But on Matt LaFleur, so much complexity and so much progression since last year. The guy has ultimately spread the field so much, horizontally for Green Bay this year, and thrown, the tight end packages throughout. We've seen the explosion of Tunyon. This is a lot of credit with Aaron Rodgers' MVP season and the offense's consistent success this year is a credit to Matt LaFleur. He's been absolutely terrific. And what the right hire that was over 2 years ago now. What a great hire that was for Green Bay. Overall record of what now? 28-7, if I'm not mistaken, for Matt LaFleur as head coach combined. Unbelievable. But hey, you got to check this out. This was just sent across to me. Jamal Williams entering Lambeau Field this morning. Check out that hat for Jamal Williams, rocking a Game On Wisconsin hat as he rolls in to Lambeau Field. Evan Siegel of Packers.com grab that shot of Jamal rolling into Lambeau Field. So how do you get pumped up for a Packers game? You and Jamal, the same thing, rocking a Game On Wisconsin lid. So that was pretty sweet to see that Jamal rocking with us here on Game On Wisconsin. We appreciate all of you rocking with us here on Game On Wisconsin. Alex Strofe alongside Dan Kotnick, about 15 minutes into this NFC Championship preview as the Buccaneers roll into Lambeau Field to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, as we do every week, Dan, let's jump in to some over-unders. I got rid of all the nonsense this week. We're actually looking in celebration for you. You live in Michigan. Sports gambling just legalized now, like active and online in Michigan. So to celebrate that, I'm going to throw a bunch of prop bets at you.
All right.
We've talked a lot about, and we saw in that Week 6 matchup against Tampa Bay, a good ground game for them. Obviously, Ronald Jones was the guy then. But now it seems like Leonard Fournette is in the mix a little bit more for the Buccaneers offense. His line set at 49.5 rushing yards. Over under for Leonard Fournette on the Packers defense.
Let me ask this question. And I don't mean to offend you by this. Did you set this line, or did this come?
Vegas did.
This is from Vegas.
This is real.
Holy shit! Hammer the fucking over on this.
I thought so too.
the Packers defense has been playing great, especially against the run. The running backs are still getting yards. They're still producing, but their impact is being limited.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, I think, had somewhere close to, 80 yards last week against the Saints. He had, 60 yards, he had 90 yards against Washington.
Yeah.
And Lambeau talks about Rojo. Rojo had over 60 yards last week too. Like this run game works, and it's all about just limiting the impact. He can get 4 or 5 yards a carry every once in a while, but you've got to limit those opportunities and force them to. They can run 90 yards up and down. That's fine, but they're not scoring touchdowns. They're kicking field goals at the end. That's what the key is. But yeah, 49 yards for Leonard Fournette against this defense, which I think is probably going to get caught. And if the Bucs are savvy, they'll do exactly what the Rams did last week and get them into heavy runs, heavy defensive run packages early,
Yeah.
and then run up tempo to get them, and then hit big chunk plays over the top. So they're going to want to run the ball. They need to run the ball for this to be successsoul. So yeah, Leonard Fournette for sure over 49 yards.
I'm glad I'm not alone there because I thought this was
that's crazy to me.
I thought that was low, and I didn't mistype that, which is the thing. So yeah, I'm with you. The over, it looks like he's been a huge part of their offense especially the last few weeks here in the playoffs. And he's a dynamic back. Let's remember this guy was a former top 5, top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He was solid in Jacksonville, obviously dealt with the injury bug a little bit. But since he's been to Tampa Bay, especially late in the season, he's had this revitalization of, just being that powerful back we all expected. 49.5 seems low. And the first point you made about the Packers defense, they'll limit the run, but they still allow, a normal amount. I think 50 yards is low for Leonard Fournette. So I would also take the over.
Something you mentioned there, Alex, like he's a dual threat. He's gonna get stuff out of the backfield too. Like Leonard Fournette is probably one of the biggest. He'll have one of the biggest impacts on this game, on the outcome of the game. Yeah,
one of the X factors for both sides. I'm with you 100%. Let's move on to the next one. Green Bay offense. Now, this is always a fun line because it's hard to predict. Aaron Rodgers is set at 292.5, so under 300 this week. But still high, 292.5. What are you thinking for Aaron Rodgers?
Man, if I was decent enough at this job, I would have double checked what he put up last week. I think under. Because what I've preached all week to anyone that is stupid enough to come listen to me talk about Packers football is that they're going to want to run the ball. Like run the ball up the middle. That's where the Packers had the most success in week 6. It's where the Saints had their most success last week. You've got to exploit the middle of that defense. That's the weak part. You've got the guys to run up the middle. You're not going to get anything outside. I don't think those little wide receiver screens that they run, the little bubble screens, are going to be very productive this week. So it's all going to work from the inside out. I'll say I'm gonna just say it's shy of the under, but I think that's not a bad thing. I want to make that clear. It's not a bad thing if he throws for under 292. If this offense is working the way it's supposed to be working, if he's throwing up 400 yards because nothing else is working and he's playing desperation catch up ball, that's completely different. But if this offense is working, he's probably about between 250 and 300 yards, and that run game is about at 150 yards. Like that's the sweet spot.
I think that's good analysis. I'm with you. Efficiency isn't necessarily measured in passing yards. That's always been the case, especially with number 12. It's always been the case with him. He can have a 4-touchdown game and throw for 205 yards. That's how Aaron Rodgers rolls, especially under Matt LaFleur, we've noticed. So I agree. I think he throws under 292. I wouldn't be, surprised if he's north of like 280, but I would go under 292. and expect efficient ball. I also expect the running game to be extra prominent with some snow falling in Green Bay yesterday, as we saw behind Todd at the top of the show. So let's jump to Aaron Jones. Now, this is all-purpose yards, Dan, receiving and rushing for Aaron Jones. These combined are set at 87.5 yards for Aaron Jones. I like the over personally. I think it was brought up earlier in the comment section. I saw somebody mention something about this is probably Aaron Jones' final game in Lambeau. I imagine he's going to go, let him go bananas, and I agree with that comment. Let him go bananas. 87.5. I'll take the over.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, how disappointing is that?
That's a sad stat, isn't it?
That's a sad thing. And if I can digress real quick,
yeah,
Alex, that kind of stat and that point is what gives me kind of the most anxiety about today's game. It's not so much that I'm worried about losing or that I'm afraid of coming up short or losing to Brady at home, which I am. That would absolutely suck. But this year's championship team, this year's NFC championship team feels so much different than last year's team, not just so much because of like what you were saying earlier, that like I didn't think that they were going to be able to, they didn't make the changes to beat the Niners or change what they did wrong in the first time that they met. Last year's team felt like they were playing over their skis. It was a new coach, new system, tons of new players. Things were working so well, but they weren't being efficient. And so they could have gotten hot, made a run, and won the whole damn thing like that. But that just doesn't usually happen. This year, all the pieces have come together.
Yeah,
everything is fitting correctly. But and at the same time, a lot of these big major pieces, like Aaron Jones, like Preston Smith, probably playing their last game in a Packer uniform at home. Yeah. So it feels like not like this is the last chance for Aaron Rodgers, but like all of the stars have aligned to have your offense running the way that it is, the defense running the way that it is, the coaching staff, all the players are playing up to their level. Like this is exactly what you want out of your team. It's built exactly how you want it to be a championship contender. And so like after this year, it all changes. And so we almost kind of start back from a position of we don't know what this team is at this point in the beginning of the season. We knew who it was at the beginning of this year because we saw last year. After this year, it completely changes. So that's what gives me the most worry is like this is a team that I don't want to say destined for greatness, but this is a team that everything is lined up that they have the ability to go out and win this damn thing. As for the actual question that you asked,
no, I like the ramble. That was good. I just couldn't get out of my head that you said it's over their skis at one point, and I feel like that's just a perfect Midwest analogy. But go on.
Right. All-purpose yards. I'll take the over on this because that. Like if you're just taking average, that averages to like roughly 45 yards rushing and catching. And I think either one of those he surpasses in some capacity today. Like he'll be featured today.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Williams will as well. I think we'll see a bit of Dylan. I've got one more. Let's get through this, and then I want to ask about Tramon Williams. But over under Evans and Godwin combined receptions. Now, this is kind of lofty, so I'll give you a second to think about it. Obviously, we know Jair's history with these two. Had a great game, one of his best of the season, I'd argue. And that was kind of the big stretch where Jair was just like, holy crap, unstoppable when he had all those great receivers. And this was one of those games. So 10.5 for both of them combined. It's a tough one. Do you have a ruling?
Yeah, that's really tough. My initial thing just leans towards yes. Okay. Just because I don't think Gronk gets featured today. He wasn't featured against the Saints very much. I think the Packers they're going to take one of these away. It really depends. It depends on the pass rush. If the pass rush gets there, you've got a better chance of, because that's how Kevin King plays. Play off, you get to come up and attack when the quarterback gets rushed and throwing a bad ball. If Kevin King is being put on an island or getting put on whoever Jair is, because you assume that between these two, this is who Jair and Kevin King are going to see today. The majority of it. So if Kevin King can play up to the expectation, if he can play press, and it looked like today he looked like he was playing, or he was looking very good in the warm-ups today in the pregame. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the big key. But I think just those two are just too good to not be featured heavily with this. I think it's Fournette and those two are the big ones today. So I'll take the over. That's fair. I'm going to take the under, but I think it's slight. I think 10 catches is totally reasonable, and the over seems reasonable. But you got to remember, Jair Island is playing for a trip to the Super Bowl on the line in a snowy Lambeau field. So I think those two might be locked up. Also, good news, Kevin King is active. But I wanted to ask about Tramon Williams. We don't necessarily know what his role will be. Maybe some punt or kick returns, maybe see some defensive reps. But I don't imagine, similar to Snacks Harrison, we see a ton of Tramon Williams. I think it's funny, and I think Andy Herman pointed this out on Twitter earlier this week, how the Packers have been signing a bunch of vets to veteran minimums in the last couple months, right? Tavon Austin, Snacks Harrison, Tramon Williams now, Jared Valdir. I might be forgetting one in there, but just a bunch of vet minimums. Creative and interesting moves by Brian Gutekunst. But nonetheless, 38 is back. He got his number back. He's been elevated and is active today. Expectations for Tramon Williams now with Kevin King active? That's a good question. I probably, if I would, the only way I think we see Tramon play is in very kind of like what you said with Snacks Harrison. It's going to be very select situations. It might be something like he comes in and the rest of the defense is running something, and they say, Tramon, you're guarding Gronk. That might be what they do. Is he comes in and plays as a nickel and comes down and just gets in Gronk's face. They say one-on-one, body him. That's your guy today. I don't see how this might be ignorance from my end, because he's got familiarity with Mike Pettine's defense, but I just don't see how you can come in with basically no practice time, limited coaching, limited anything with this defense right now, in the shape that it is, and come in and play a significant amount of time on the defensive side. He probably sees more on the special team side, like you've kind of mentioned, and a lot of people are looking at. But I just don't know how much he can really contribute on defense yet. Yeah, I'm with you. As cool as it would be to see, of course, 38 Williams, we know, of course, he was monumental. I would say he's on, of the important figures of that 2010-11 Super Bowl run, I would say he's on the Mount Rushmore. I mean, he was so influential in that series, and that was really the uprising of Tramon Williams. So I'm with you. I think we see some special teams reps, maybe a few defensive reps, but I don't think his workload will be super heavy, especially now that King is active. But we'll see. We hope he's 100% and good to go. Kevin King, that is. And we will see moving forward. But exciting that Tramon Williams back in the green and the gold. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is a pre-snap on Game On Wisconsin. Dan Kotnick, I'm Alex Strofe, hanging out with you for about 15, 20 more minutes as we get you set. Everybody take a deep breath with me, Dan. In and out. The NFC Championship game in Lambeau Field. Buccaneers, Packers, a rematch of the Week 6 game that the Buccaneers absolutely stopped the Packers. Won by 4 touchdowns, 38-10, after the Packers were up 10-0 in that game. I agree with Lambeau. I think we take a second. I don't know what the chant is, but we say, Dear Tunchi, dear Little Wayne, we say to you, sir, we need all the hype. We need all the energy. We need all the good vibes from you into our bodies and into the spirit of Lambeau Field as the Packers get ready to absolutely shit on Tom Brady and make him cry a little bit. I want them to make Tom Brady so upset that, like he did earlier this year, instead of shaking anybody's hands, he directly runs off the field. Walks off the field. I want him straight into the locker room when the game is over so Aaron Rodgers can celebrate going to his second career Super Bowl. Amen.
Thank you, Tunchi. That is our attempt at a chant. I want to hear from you in the comment section. Who is your X factor for the Packers today? We'll feature some of those comments here in a few minutes. Who is your X factor for the Packers today, Dan? Do you have any thoughts? Maybe one on the offense, one on the defense. What are you thinking? Any players that stick out to you going into this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons on the defense. I think Lambeau mentioned it in the chat that I think Rashawn Gary is going to be huge today because the pass rush needs to get there and needs to get there fast against Tom Brady. That's been the key to beating Tom Brady his entire career. Get up in his face right away, get him off of his spot before he can make a decision and make him think twice and give your secondary a chance to cover on the back end. So Rashawn Gary, his whole thing has been bull rush. Like he's got the bull rush down. Bull rush right up the middle, get in his face, and get him off of his spot. That's got to be number one. But just to I'm going to go away from Lambeau. I think it's Chris Barnes.
Ooh,
for me.
Yeah,
I think it's Chris Barnes. Everywhere else, the guys, they're going to do what you expect of them. The pass rush is going to get pressure at times. The cornerbacks are going to cover. Savage and Amos, you expect to play up to par. Chris Barnes is going to be relied on to cover the middle of that field, which is where this offense exploits defenses is up the middle with Gronk, with Godwin across the middle. He's got to be solid in the middle, and then you throw on top of that with the run game. He's got to have this defense playing perfect football. They got to get the reads correct, especially with Leonard Fournette. I think he's going to be probably the guy that sticks on Leonard Fournette coming out of the backfield. For me, it's Chris Barnes, especially playing with that club on his hand. He almost had a pick last week.
Yeah, he almost had that interception last week. Yeah.
So, when you're playing with the club on your hand, I feel like you need to play perfect football because you can't just rely on your natural ability anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're hampered. So on the defense, I'm going to take Chris Barnes.
Let me cut you off before you go to the offense.
Go ahead.
How cool would it be if he had an interception this week? Somehow.
If he had an interception this week, my soul will leave its body.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. A club interception, that's football porn right there, man. A club interception, you do something cool with a club, that is like top-notch stuff. Anyway, on to the offense.
On the offense, for me, it's MVS.
Yeah.
Everyone else so far this season has shown that they will be consistent on offense given the chance. We saw a little bit. We saw a little inconsistency last week from Lazard, but he redeemed himself right away, almost right away. The running backs are going to get theirs. Devontae knows where his role is and what he can do, and I think this tight end group as well knows exactly how to handle themselves and fill the role that they need to do. With MVS, I love the kid. I really do. I stand him. I love him. But man, like you just can't afford. You cannot afford if you break open one of those big plays to drop the ball or have a turnover like that. Like that's going to just absolutely kill you. Yeah. I think if there was a second one, I was just thinking about this. Like it has to be if I could pick a group, it's the offensive line. Played out of their heads last week, but man, like the pressure that Aaron saw in that Week 6 game, you can't see it today.
No, you absolutely can't. I think he was sacked 4 times in that game, if I'm not mistaken, which was the second most all season for Rodgers. Can't have him under attack. That's absolutely true. And obviously, I don't want to say the biggest test because obviously you saw an injured Aaron Donald last week, but probably the biggest test for this offensive line since the loss of David Bakhtiari. Obviously, the most important test being in the NFC Championship game. But Billy Turner, Elton Jenkins, Corey Linsley, and company going to do their best to hold off the attack, let Aaron Rodgers have time, let him cook, let him operate. I think that's a good pick. I agree with MVS, though. That's where I was going to go. That's where I went last week on the offensive side of the ball. Consistency is important. And you need that long ball threat that MVS presents, maybe better than any receiver, maybe not named Davante Adams, but we know Davante Adams is likely going to be facing quite a few double teams today. So if MVS has one-on-one opportunities, if he can break a couple loose and hang on to the ball, that could set up a really, really good chance for the Packers to win this football game. Defensively, I go the Kevin King direction. We know the threats that the Buccaneers offense throws at you, and he was dealing with an injury all week. So we didn't know until, right when we went live, Dan, that he was going to play today. So it's important for him to play well. I mean, you can't let Tom Brady get comfortable, and you cannot let Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, whoever he ends up matching up with, whether it be a rotation. I think he saw more Mike Evans in that Week 6 matchup than he saw Godwin. But either or. Can't allow a deep ball. Can't allow yourself to get burnt. Hold them. Catches are okay. Just don't get completely burned several times. We can't have you getting schooled in the NFC Championship game. So I want to see what Kevin King brings to the table today. All right, man. It's time. You ready?
Let's do it, man.
Bold predictions we'll start with, and then we'll go to game picks. Bold predictions. Tampa Bay at Green Bay. Dan, I don't know. I don't know how long you've been thinking about one. I've been thinking about this for 4 days, and I still don't have one. But I will come up with one by the time you're done.
My bold prediction is that the Packers get at least 3 sacks on Tom Brady today.
Ooh.
I think that, we saw Zadarius Smith earlier this week. He was wearing that the face mask of his own face, because they had just watched the NFC Championship game from last year, and I think that they're going to challenge. Like he has stepped up, especially among this defense, to challenge everybody to play better, to play at a higher level. Last time this team met, Kenny Clark was injured. He wasn't himself. Rashawn Gary wasn't at the level that he needed to be yet, which he's at now. Right,
great improvement throughout the rest of that season.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible. Like exactly what you expect. So I think this defensive line with Gary, Preston, Kenny, Zadarius, I think they are going to come in. They're pissed off. I think they've challenged themselves to be better. And I think it cannot be understated about playing at Lambeau in front of fans for the first time against these guys has to be a game changer for this defense. Yeah. How many times this year did we hear Zadarius, Preston, all of them talk about not playing in front of fans? It changes how we feel on the defense. It changes how we play. I think playing in front of the team, in front of fans today, I think this pass rush gets there. I think that they get in his face, and I think that they cause havoc. We saw last week the Saints were able to get in his face at times. I think the pass rushers, the pure pass rushers for this defense, better than what they saw last week against the Saints. So that's my bold prediction. Three sacks on Tom Brady today.
Yeah, I like that. 3 sacks. I mean, that would be huge. I mean, that's a total game changer. You're absolutely correct. I'm going to make mine quick. I'll make it quick. Like the great Lil Wayne once said, Darnell a savage, bruh. Darnell Savage, pick 6. And the following line in that song, I believe, is we got Mason Crosby. The kick is good. So how about a Crosby extra point to follow that? My bold prediction is we see Darnell Savage get in the end zone today on Tom Brady getting that. Obviously, there was a pick 6. From Aaron Rodgers, I believe the only one he threw, or definitely the only one he threw all season, but the only one he's thrown in a long time. Pick 6 earlier this season against the Buccaneers. I think the Savage gets that one back and gets one on Tom Brady today. All right, Dan, here we go. It's time. Packers Bucks, Lambeau Field, NFC Championship game. I need a winner and I need the score.
I hate to tempt fate. I'm touching all of this wood. I'm knocking. You can hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to tempt fate. I've been nervous about this game all week, like I said. I think the Packers have enough to do it. I think it'll be close. I say it's like a 31-28 game. I think it really it's gonna be like that Seattle game last year where you're holding on to the end. This isn't going to be. I love Todd's optimism. I don't think we're going to see Tim Boyle today. I think it's going to be a fight right down to the bitter end. And so I'll say 31-28 Packers come out on top.
Ooh, I like that. You say 38-28?
31, 28.
20. Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be that close. Yeah, 3 points sounds about right. That's actually the line now. Packers are 3-point favorites. It's been a tough week. Obviously, the loss of Ted Thompson strikes home a little bit for Green Bay. But we know this team's ready. We've seen it on a 7-game win streak now. A much different team than we saw in that Week 6 loss against these Buccaneers. I have a hard time believing the Packers lose. I've said, the last several weeks, the Tennessee game and now, of course, in the postseason against the Rams, and I said it all week, you don't want to get into a shootout with Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field in January. It just doesn't seem like a battle you're going to win, especially in the midst of an MVP season and a 7-game win streak. I like the Packers to win here, but I think it's about as close as you're going to come in a shootout in January with Aaron Rodgers in a snowy Lambeau Field. I like your prediction. I think it's a little high. 27-21. Packers win. Tom Brady will have the opportunity to win the game, but will fall short. 27-21 Packers today. And as I mentioned, we lost the great Ted Thompson this week on Thursday. We found out died Wednesday night. The great Ted Thompson. So the hashtag win it for Ted is here and true. And we leave you with that. For Dan Kotnick, I'm Alex Strofe. Go Pack, go, Danny.
Go Pack, baby. Let's do it.